Well, it's been a while since I've done a deck list. Kinda wish I had an idea of what to do. Wait a minute. Oh yeah. Makes it contact the lead. Scores a kill in the dark. Sinking point to approach. 406 of his failure Hello, everybody. It's been a bit, as the me in the opening said. I recorded that like 3 weeks ago. Ugh. Actually, it's been longer than that. I don't want to remind myself. I've had a bit of a month. I've been busy. I was going to record earlier this week, and I put my foot through a barn floor. I don't recommend. That sucked. Anyway, I'm here now, and I'm going to let you all see what I've been playing the past... Oh, God, it's been 8 months already. I haven't got off this deck since midterms came out, because that's when the deck became playable. Now, you're probably staring at this and going, what in God's name are you doing, Hawk? Well, this is the first version. I want to walk you guys through all of the versions of this deck. Well, not all of them, because the second version sucks and was highly specific. Don't ever copy it. This one was the first one. Now, this deck, as you can see by the thumbnail, is called Wolfpack. If any of you know anything about military history, I'm just stealing the German U-boat tactic name. Anyway, that's because there's 3 submarines in this, which makes a Wolfpack. Now, the concept of this deck was me sitting there going, you know what? I want to do stuff with chilling out back. But, like, what else does stuff with Spike Shield with Chain? And then I remembered Submarine Roid's a thing. And I'm like, well, that's kind of funny. Make a deck and call it Wolfpack. That sounds funny. Like the koala's driving the submarine. Hey, they have explosions. Wait, we have Blast Sphere. My brain works in strange manners. As you can tell, this was made when Floodgate and Wall weren't limited, and that was not a mistake at all. That totally didn't need to happen earlier. But this came out pretty much right after midterms is when I came up with this insanity. And it worked okay. The Blast Spheres were not good against CA. Were surprisingly good against everything else. I won't pretend that didn't shock me. But, I mean, the funniest thing was when you fight against Joey and he loses the coin toss on Jurai Gumo and then the Blast Sphere just kills them. I had a good laugh on that one. Other than that, the deck is fairly simple, but this isn't really the one I stuck with. This was a attempt. Let me move you on to the refined version of 2, aka Build 3. Alright, so this was the one I stuck with the longest, and I've tinkered with the most. Now, this one also once had Wall of D in it, and then that one got moved to 3, and I had to change that around. But once that happened, this wasn't that big of a deal. This is still when CA was running around. And so, well, you can kind of tell what's going on here. The spheres have been completely replaced by Amazon as Swordswoman. I had a weird interim stage where it was like 2 of these and like 2 of this. It was a mess, all right? It was gross, and I hated it. And then I just realized Sphere Karibo's really good, and I'm being stupid, and I should put this in here. Now, I did mention chilling out back. And that still has a place in this deck, but the actual skill is looking into the future, because looking into the future is absolutely busted when you don't play a single spell. And you can just sit there and endlessly stack your deck again and again and again and again. So you load up in nothing but 3 ofs, and 1 random pair of Amazoness women, and then you just sit there and have whatever you want, whenever you need it, and just be an irritating asshole the whole time. It's fantastic. I loved it. It was great. And as you can see, this one was kitted out to screw with CA. There's Triple Mind Crush in main, and yes, I did occasionally just hit them for their entire life savings of Ben 10s. It was very funny. And I made several of them feel really bad, but it was really good. Enjoyed the hell out of it. The side deck's kind of a debatable one. You can do what you will with it. But I'm going to bring you guys now to the actual deck, the one I am playing currently. And then I'm going to actually go over the whole thing instead of me just babbling over my design philosophy, because I'm doing that because I just got off of work. I'm a little out of it, if you can't tell. Okay, no more rambling, no more screwing around. Dead serious time. This is what I have been taking to locals. And as far as I'm concerned, locals are, as far as speed duels is concerned, as long as your locals are reasonably competitive, it's a perfectly fine comparison, okay? Because we don't exactly have huge numbers of people. And I'm not gonna lie, I keep looking at the tournament results, and, like, nobody's playing Ojamas. Ojamas are good, but no one's playing them, so it's kind of hard to, like... With the numbers so small, I need to make a whole video on ranking shit in speed duels, because it's difficult. Now, granted, I do not play a lot of Joey, nor do I play against a lot of vampires. Nobody finds either of the decks terribly interesting at my locals, so I'm fighting weird stuff. There's a lot more Gaia I have to put up with. There's a lot more Ojamas, for instance. Like, I have to play Ojamas. A bunch of Cloudians flying around. They're not as common as they used to be, but hey, they're there. The point is there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like, there are still people running around with Crystal Beast, Crystal Dragon Turbo stuff, alright? So, just as an FYI, this is going to look a little weird, but at the same time, I don't think this deck has a bad matchup against, well, a terrible matchup anyway, against Vampires or Joey. You just gotta play it a little weird. So I'm going to go down the whole list, and I'm going to explain why everything's where it is, and why I haven't quite made all of the changes I plan on making it. This is still a living list, I'm still changing it, still screwing around with it. It's very... You'll get it when we get there, alright? So it's double Amazon, a swordswoman. She's almost cuttable at this point, but frankly, I just kind of don't want to play 20-card decks. I know it sounds weird, but I like playing a 22-card deck because I then innately win against people who only have 20 cards if I have to go into a stall game. I don't want to, and I've never had to, but it's just there if it becomes necessary. I'm just saying. Just as an FYI. Also, I mean, she's really only good against, like, Gaia and, like, a handful of other things. It's not as great as when you would crash her into Azana and delete half their life points. That was really funny and will never not be funny, but you don't really get to do that anymore. Now it's just Sacred Beast people and, you know, the occasional time you set Amazon a swordswoman and then a Gaia attacks into it and they die. Which is hilarious. I'm just gonna tell you that. It's really funny and will only ever work once, and then they will never attack a face-down monster. Speaking of attacking your face-down monster and winning immediately, it's the old Koala Boy. He's pretty great. 1800 asks is surprisingly large. The burn effect is enough. I mean, you have to have a really particular situation to have someone crash into his ass and die. Spike shield. But he's there, he's irritating, he burns things, he's hard to get over. If you swap out to chilling out back, you can actually attack with it, which is funny. But for whatever reason, unless you're up against Gaia, I don't find a lot of people actually burning through their entire hand, so he winds up burning for like 1200 a lot. Which is not nothing. I mean, it's like a quarter of their life points. That's pretty good. Sphere Karibo is self-explanatory. He is an obnoxious asshole who does not get stopped by Joey, so put him in defense mode and move on with your day. Submarine Roid, the offensive pressure of this deck. You need 5 attacks with a submarine to win the game. That's it. 5. I know that sounds crazy, but as long as you keep sticking the submarine, well, you have 3 of them. If you can get 3 attacks through, you're already most of the way there. You just need to somehow bullshit the other 2. Which is not difficult. Hi, Koala. Hello, Amazoness Swordswoman. This isn't hard to get to this stage. I do it all the time. This deck has an amazing win-loss record. I think I've only lost 1 match with this. Again, it's locals. Take it with a grain of salt. I'm just saying, this is a pretty solid control deck running around with a submarine that people have to waste widespreads on. Which is really funny, okay? It's really, really funny when people have to do that. Alright, the trap lineup is really self-explanatory. Floodgate is the best 3 of trap. Do not at me. No, Wall of D is not better than Floodgate, alright? Is it good? Sure. Better than Floodgate? Hell no. Book of Moon? Depends on your deck. I will actually give you that one. DD Warrior Lady? No, honestly. I don't think she's better than Floodgate. For the simple reason that Floodgate does not lose to Gaia, or Dark Gaia, whereas DD Warrior Lady loses to Dark Gaia. Legitimately, what are you crashing her into at this stage? Like, are you just gonna hit Vampire Curse or Vampire Lord? Are you that scared? Again, Floodgate. Granted, she's reactive and Floodgate's not, but you get my point. Floodgate is probably the best 3 of. I'm not going to get off this train. It's staying there. It's ridiculous, especially when you can stack it with looking into the future. And then you can just have your opponent sit there with nothing, and it's very funny. Now, that's not as good as it used to be because a lot of people have random tribute monsters in their deck now just because it's part of the strategy. But it's funny. It buys you time, which is all you need. This is the funniest thing to flip up in damage step ever. I mean, Koala just gets a gigantic ass. It's a 3,400 rear end, and they can just lose an absurd amount of life points. Now again, before everyone goes, but Joey will negate it. Hi? You know how many friggin' back row you have in your opening hand? I consistently have 2 or 3. It'll be like 1 monster and like 3 back row. So you just go set, 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 set. You don't have enough negates, buddy. I mean, sometimes you just have 2 of these and you just force them to negate the first one and then activate the second one. Or you'll just go, oh, on attack declaration, widespread. I'll negate that. Cool, damage step. Lose most of your life points. Alright, on that vein, there's a couple other options you can put for the oddball card. I mean, I'm putting Windstorm. I like Windstorm. It utterly no-sells Cloudians if they show up. I know most people don't take them seriously, but it is nice to just have a card that's basically trap hole for Cloudians. Or a board wipe for Cloudians. The point is this card kills the Cloudians, and they are very dead. It's quite nice. I've switched off of Zoma, because while Zoma's great, you will just die to Gaia. So the main advantage of running it doesn't work. Again, with Izana, you were only taking 1,600 when it was boosted. Unless it was double boosted, then you were taking 26. You still weren't dead. Gaia will just kill you. Zoma is not getting his effect off. And anything else that's floating around isn't worth it. Like, we're capping off at like 2,500 again. So it's like, you could? Not gonna yell at you if you run Zoma, but Nightmare Wheel's just another card that goes, no, don't get that spot. And then you burn. It's a win condition unto itself. I don't like it. I'm not happy it's in here, but we're a stupid trap deck, and we're gonna play stupid trap cards. Just saying. Put whatever dumb trap cards you want in here. You could put more Windstorms in. You could put Wabaku in. I'm not gonna yell at you. You could put in, what is it, Acid Trap Hole? Oh, it's Adhesion Trap Hole. We have Adhesion Trap Hole, right? Yeah, that's one. You could do this one, too, if you wanted. I don't recommend it, but you could do this one. Just saying. Because we have giant asses, and reducing their attack to tiny numbers is very funny. Again, do not recommend. If you feel like being funny, there you go. So the side deck is the weird one for me at the moment. The Death Kangaroos are not changing. I'm leaving them in there. Because anytime you put in Chillin' Out Back, you put them in. Because you're trying to be aggressive. And he gets a 3,700 attack stat. And can just straight up kill things if they attack into him and you damage step Spike Shield. Which is very funny. Again, I've just straight up won the game doing that once. It was great. I doubt it'll happen again, but it happened once, and it was very funny. So, he's great in there. Again, Chillin' Out Back. If you don't run Chillin' Out Back and just want more stuff, I suppose, you can swap him out for other traps. Or another Amazoness Swordswoman. I don't know. I don't know what you put here. That's why I run Chillin' Out Back in this. It's like, I don't know what else to put in the side deck. And I've been fairly happy being able to occasionally swap into that, usually against, like, Crystal Beasts. I did it once against Ojamas just to see how it works, because that's, like, one of the only matches I think I've lost. And honestly, the first one was a bad hand, and the one after that was he just happened to outvalue me. So, just, it happens. Ojamas are just fast enough as an aggro deck to get through to you. Everything else is kind of slow. But, the Chillin' Out Back strategy kind of worked. As long as you get the Kangaroo and the Spike Shield, and then you're just a big old dick. Now, I'm just kind of dancing around this because, frankly, I just left the Mind Crushes in here because they were good. Honestly, they're not that good anymore. Like, they're okay. But what are you going to do? Call, Malicious Edge or something? You're going to hit the Dark Fusion? Like, what are you hitting? Other than Golden Ladybug. Like, that's fine. You can hit Golden Ladybug. But that's, like, do you want to dedicate 2 side deck slots to just killing Golden Ladybug? You can. Now, again, very defensible. Just saying, you could put Wabaku in here. If you wanted. You could just put more crap. Like, going against Joey, you could just put a whole assload of chainable stall cards and then just be a dick about it. That's also why I have the second Windstorm in here. I'm just saying. There's a whole pile of traps. And fundamentally, that's what this deck is. Okay? I don't have a replay for you because honestly, the replays of this deck are not interesting. It's lock them down with Floodgate. I cannot tell you how many times I've opened with 2 Floodgate. Or a Floodgate and a Nightmare Wheel. You just lock them down. They summon something, you Floodgate it. You don't care. Go away. And then after that, you just sit there and stab repeatedly with your submarine. You are a slow, methodical killer. And you will get there eventually. Because then it's funny. After game 1, they all realize, oh shit, I have to kill that submarine. Like, they will Floodgate your submarine. It happens. You get weird situations where if they're running Wall of D, which not a lot of people are, but it comes up occasionally, where he'll get reduced to 0, and then in damage step, you're going to Spike Shield with Chain him in order to go back to doing 800. Like, do that. And then suddenly he has a 2,300 point ass. It happens. Not the greatest use of Spike Shield with Chain, but hey, you got to do what you got to do to win. The point is this deck is a pile of 1-for-1s and lockdown tools. And you can just sit there and constantly stab them again and again and again and again. It's kind of why I'm not running Spellbinding Circle. I don't want my back row clogged, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of Nightmare Wheel, but it's a really, really good card. So, there we are. You could run Shrink if you want. I don't recommend it. It's a spell, and it conflicts with looking into the future, but you can run it. Mix and match as you see fit. Go through the whole pile of traps. There's a whole bunch of them. A whole lot of them are pretty good. You can just be a real asshole about it. Just saying. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this deck and my weird ramble because it's me and that's what I do. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. Watch out for submarines.